They say the desert holds secrets, old, dry, and buried beneath centuries of silence. But some secrets refuse to stay buried. It started with a simple road trip. Caleb, 24, a mechanic from San Bernardino, and his best friend Jay took Jay's old Wrangler out for a weekend ride through the Mojave Desert. The plan was simple: camp under the stars, take some photos, and test the Jeep's rebuilt transmission. What could go wrong? They left on a Friday afternoon, the sun hot and angry over the empty stretches of Highway 395. By the time they reached the dirt trails, the air was cooler, quieter, too quiet. They set up camp near an abandoned mining outpost, miles from the nearest town. The place was desolate: rusted metal, half-buried rails, and a collapsed shed that looked like it hadn't seen life since the 50s. That night, they cracked open some beers, laughed about ghost stories, and watched the stars explode across the sky. But around 3 a.m., Caleb woke up. The sound of the Jeep's engine turning over jolted him out of sleep. Confused, he unzipped his tent. The Wrangler's headlights were on. But Jay wasn't in it. He called out, "Jay, yo, what the hell, man?" No response. He ran to the Jeep, engine humming, door wide open, but no one inside. And then, the Jeep suddenly revved and started rolling backwards, like someone had shifted it into neutral. Caleb dove inside, slamming the brake. The interior was ice cold, like sitting inside a freezer. He turned off the engine and looked around. Still no sign of Jay. He grabbed a flashlight and searched the area. The flashlight flickered, once, twice, then died. His phone was also dead. That's when he heard it, crunching footsteps in the gravel behind the collapsed shed. He turned, whispering Jay's name. Nothing, just wind sweeping sand in little spirals. Then he saw something, a figure standing behind the rusted remains of the shed, barely visible in the moonlight. Not Jay, taller, motionless, just standing. Caleb backed away, his breath catching in his throat. The figure moved, one step, then another, then gone. He sprinted to the Jeep, turned the ignition. Nothing. Dead. Battery fine. Fuel full. But the Jeep wouldn't even click. He slammed the wheel in frustration. That's when he looked up and saw the figure again. Standing at the edge of the campfire's ashes. Closer. Caleb did the only thing he could. He ran through sand, brush, cactus. Didn't stop until sunrise. He flagged down a passing border patrol truck on the highway and brought them back to the site. Jay was gone. No tracks, no signs of struggle. But here's the part that chills you to the bone. The Jeep? It wasn't there. Not stolen. Not towed. Just gone. No tire marks, no oil, no trace it had ever been there. When they searched the collapsed shed, they found something weird. Old Polaroids nailed to the inside wall. Photos of different people. All standing by the same Jeep. Caleb swears one of the photos was Jay. Same hat, same flannel. But the image was faded, dated in pen on the bottom. 83. Jay was born in 1999. Police dismissed the case as a hallucination. Heat stroke, panic, disorientation. But Caleb never went back to the desert. And that Jeep, it still hasn't turned up. Max was a trucker, the kind of guy who thrived on open highways and solitude. He'd driven across deserts, mountains, and back roads for over a decade, and the desert highways of Arizona were his favorite. Vast, empty, and quiet. But one night, somewhere between Winslow and Holbrook, Max's routine drive turned into something else entirely. It was just past 1 a.m. when he saw the flickering neon sign. Diner, open 24/7. He didn't recall seeing it on his usual route, but figured maybe he had just missed it before. With his stomach rumbling and hours of road ahead, he decided to pull over. The place looked straight out of a 1960s postcard. Chrome accents, a big neon clock above the entrance, and a few dusty cars parked outside. Inside, the air was strangely still, but warm. A waitress in a faded pink uniform greeted him without a smile. Her name tag read, Linda. Her eyes were glassy, distant. Still, Max took a booth by the window and ordered coffee and a slice of pie. There were 2 other customers in the place, sitting at opposite ends of the diner, both staring into nothing, not eating, not moving. Something about the stillness gave Max chills, but he chalked it up to late-night nerves. He looked outside, while sipping his coffee. Something felt wrong. There were no stars, no moon, just blackness pressing against the glass like a curtain. No wind, no bugs, no sound at all. Then Max glanced at the neon sign through the window. It wasn't flickering anymore. It was off, dead. The diner's interior lights hummed, but there was no sound of a kitchen, no clatter of plates, no smell of food, nothing but silence and that strange, warm air. When Max looked down at his pie, it was gone. The plate was clean, as if he'd never ordered anything. Confused, he looked up at the waitress. She was standing still, right in front of his table, but her eyes, they were now pure white. No pupils, no irises, just blank, pale orbs. Max bolted up, knocking over the coffee mug. No sound. The mug hit the floor silently. The 2 customers, gone. Vanished. He ran to the door, yanked it open, and found nothing. The parking lot was gone. The diner sat in a void. Blackness surrounded it on all sides, like it was floating in a vacuum. Panicked, Max turned to run back inside, but the door had changed. It was now a flat wall of chrome, no entrance, no windows. He pounded his fists against it, screaming, but no one heard. Finally, everything went dark. He woke up, slumped over the wheel of his truck on the shoulder of the highway, engine cold. Dawn had broken. The diner was gone. No building, no parking lot, nothing but open desert. At first, Max thought he had dreamed it all. Maybe he'd fallen asleep at the wheel. But the coffee burn on his tongue and the sticky residue of pie on his fingers told a different story. When he told the gas station clerk in Holbrook what happened, the man went pale. He told Max that his grandfather used to talk about a diner that would appear out of nowhere in the desert. Only at night, only to travelers. Some said it was a leftover ghost from Route 66. Others claimed it was a kind of trap, a pocket of time where lost souls lingered. Whatever it was, no one who stayed there too long ever came back the same. Or came back at all. Max still drives, but he avoids that stretch of highway now. Says it gives him nightmares. Says sometimes, when he's driving at night, he still sees the flicker of a neon sign in his side mirror. But he never turns around. He just drives faster. When Sarah and Jamie planned their desert camping trip, they were chasing solitude. Both were grad students burnt out from city life, and the idea of an off-grid weekend in the Mojave sounded perfect. No cell service, no deadlines, just the stars, the sand, and each other. They found a stretch of desert land through a backcountry guide forum. No marked trails, no rangers, just coordinates and a warning. Do not go past the hollow ridge. They brushed it off. Superstition, probably. The kind of local lore that makes adventurers feel edgy. They arrived mid-afternoon, set up camp near some towering red rock formations, and spent the evening laughing, taking photos, and making a small fire. But that first night, something felt off. The wind would die completely for long stretches, then suddenly whip in from all directions like a scream. Jamie swore he heard voices on the breeze, but Sarah told him it was just the sound of air. moving through the rocks. Still, neither of them slept well. The next morning, while Sarah cooked breakfast, Jamie wandered off with his camera. He didn't go far, just to a nearby ridge where a lone cactus stood, taller than any Sarah had ever seen. Its spines were thick, blackened at the tips, almost like burnt wood. Jamie said he heard a faint humming near it, like a whisper just under the wind. He leaned in to take a closer photo. That's when he heard it. His name. Not shouted, not called, whispered directly into his ear. He spun around. No one there. But when he turned back to the cactus, a thin slit had appeared in its trunk, like a gash. Or a mouth. The whisper came again. This time, it was clearer. "Stay!" Jamie backed away slowly, heart racing. He didn't tell Sarah at first. Said he just got spooked. But something changed after that. He grew quiet, distracted. That night, he insisted they move the tent closer to the cactus. Sarah refused, confused and unsettled by how obsessed he seemed with it. Around 2 a.m., Sarah woke up alone in the tent. Jamie was gone. She grabbed a flashlight and followed his tracks toward the ridge. There he was, kneeling in front of the cactus, whispering back to it. She called out, but he didn't respond. As she got closer, she saw tears running down his face. He turned to her slowly and said, "It's not a plant. It's waiting." Sarah pulled him back to camp, practically dragging him. By morning, he had no memory of the night. Said he dreamt of being underground, buried, surrounded by voices that weren't quite human. They left that day, drove non-stop back to the city. A week later, Sarah got a call from Jamie's sister. Jamie had vanished. He left his apartment in the middle of the night. Barefoot, no phone, no wallet. Just gone. Sarah went back to the ridge with local authorities. Nothing unusual, except the cactus. It looked different. Taller, thicker. And now there were two. She never got answers. But sometimes she dreams of that cactus, sees Jamie's eyes staring back from the dark slit in its trunk. Local legend calls it the Watcher, a desert spirit that feeds on loneliness. They say it plants itself near lost travelers, learns their voice, and calls them home. Sarah hasn't gone camping since. Tyler was a long-haul trucker, the kind who didn't mind the silence of the open road. He'd driven through the Nevada desert more times than he could count, always sticking to the highways, always on schedule. But this time, he took a detour. A shortcut through an old service road he found on his GPS. It shaved an hour off his delivery time. That was enough for him. The road started smooth, but after a few miles, the asphalt crumbled into gravel, then into sand. His rig could handle it, but something felt off. The sun was setting and the sky turned a deep, burning orange. No signs, no fences, not even tire marks. Just open land, dead silence. And the faint line of a road that seemed to disappear into the desert. Then he saw it. A person, standing at the edge of the road, barely visible in the heat waves. Tyler slowed, honked once, but the figure didn't move. As he got closer, he realized something was wrong. The person was frozen. Still as a statue, dressed in what looked like a delivery uniform. Dusty, faded, and ripped in places. He rolled down the window. "Hey, you okay?" No answer. Just the sound of wind sweeping across the sand. Tyler stepped out of the truck, took a few cautious steps forward. That's when the figure turned, not moved, not turned naturally, but snapped like a glitch in reality. Its face was blank, pale, eyes like marbles set too deep into the sockets. Tyler backed away, heart thudding. He turned to get back in his truck. But the truck was gone. Not stolen. not driven off, just gone. Nothing but desert behind him. No tracks, no dust trail, no noise. Just a vanishing line of road stretching into nowhere. He screamed, shouted, ran in the direction he thought the road went, but every time he looked back, the figure was closer. He ran until the sun dipped behind the hills, until his legs gave out, until there was only sand. He was found 3 days later, wandering barefoot on the edge of town, dehydrated and sunburned. His truck was recovered, hundreds of miles away, on a road he never took, locked, keys still inside, GPS wiped clean. Tyler never drove again, never left the city. He still wakes up some nights sweating, swearing he sees that blank face at the edge of his bed. And the weirdest part, the next trucker who tried the same shortcut never came back. If you're still listening in the dark, alone, consider this your sign. The desert doesn't forget, and some roads were never meant to be found. If this story sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real horror stories every week. There's plenty more where this came from, and some are even darker. Thanks for watching. And whatever you do, stay out of the desert after dark.